Hello and welcome to Zesty Boys Film Night. Episode 2 here, we're doing a movie called Swiss Army Man. Swiss Army Man is about a man called Hank who is trapped on a desert island and about to commit suicide when he sees a corpse wash ashore being acted by Daniel Radcliffe. He develops a friendship of the corpse and discovers he can manipulate the body like a Swiss Army knife, hence the name. Using Daniel Radcliffe, he escapes the island and they go on a set of zany adventures together.
Oh,
So what did you guys think of the movie?
boy, do they come of age.
So at the beginning, I wasn't quite sure what it was like, what sort of movie it was going to be. Like, it was going to be serious or be comedy, and still it just had a bit of just a bit weird.
It is an incredibly weird movie.
Yeah. I still don't know if it was meant to be comedy or not. You know?
No, it has to be comedy.
Yeah.
By its time, it would be obviously it is supposed to at very certain points be comedy.
Yeah,
but the whole
of
thing,
course. But
the
whole
tense
thing.
of it.
Well, yeah, I think so. It definitely was. It definitely wasn't a serious movie.
Yeah, but it wasn't just like the traditional comedy that you expect.
For those listening at home, the kind of Swiss Army knife abilities used to get Hank off the island stuff is riding him like a jet ski using the body's farts, using his teeth for such different things as chopping things up or shaving and stuff.
Really? I don't remember
Using
that.
Oh yeah, that's how he shaves.
Yeah.
He uses his teeth.
But he doesn't shave like that.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
He doesn't
Hank
have
shaves
a
at one
beard.
point. He has a beard at the start and doesn't halfway through to the end.
Yeah,
Oh.
I actually noticed it after the fact. I noticed, he's not got a beard.
Oh,
And I actually
yeah, he
didn't
didn't have a beard in the
clock that he-
picture. Of course.
Yeah.
He loses the beard because he shaves. Shaving
just
is one of his lesser abilities, though. It's not a common one used.
Yeah.
He also he collects water because it sort of gathers inside the corpse, and he uses it when he's about to, die of lack of water.
Oh yeah, he makes him vomit up, which must be very bilious.
He just
water.
pump.
Well, it's
pumps
coming
him.
out of a dead body. It's going to be disgusting, but it's about it's survival.
But also, I don't think it is kind of coming out of a dead body, though, is there?
I mean, there is that whole thing. The body.
One
One of the first things you notice about the body, about Manny, as the body is called, is that it starts talking almost immediately into the movie.
Does it? No, it's
You miss Manny talking.
it's 15 minutes probably.
Oh, I know what you mean. No, obviously, it's after they establish everything, and it gives the tense.
The beginning.
It could be a film where he never talks, but throws it in at quite timed moment to then be like, oh, there's also this. When it could have just been a film about a man and a corpse.
It was after. So at the beginning, there's a bit where he's hanging himself, and then
that's how it opens.
Yeah, shall we talk through the movie in turn?
Yeah. So it begins with him going to hang himself, and then he notices that the body is washed up, and then he accidentally kind of almost hangs himself.
Yeah, he tries to walk towards the corpse, and then in doing so ends up hanging, and basically he could die, but it's only by happenstance that the rope gives, meaning he couldn't have hung himself in the first place, which is quite a weird sort of dry comedy way to start. It's definitely a very...
I really loved the simplicity of the early scenes of the movie. When it began with you opening up on the sea and just bits of trash that he'd thrown out and written messages for help on. And they were sort of small and simple and just sort of said, help, I'm trapped at sea. But, had the sort of cool styles to them and very quickly gave us the impression of, I went out on a boat, I got trapped on a desert island, it's been rough, I've been here a while and I'm now suicidal about it.
Didn't he... halfway through it said he ran away or something, so I guess he ran away on a boat. Maybe.
Yeah, it's when the death.
Yeah, it doesn't explain very much about the situation. What?
Well, it's not meant. We never get it really explained why he was out there, why he was trapped.
Yeah,
we just know that he wasn't on an island.
Why this corpse is magical. Or whatever.
Well, I think it's weird when it comes to that. I think it's very much using sort of a liberal idea of science. It's obviously not anatomically correct. Corpses have those superhuman powers of being able to be basically a human nutcracker. But I think the way it's approached it is sort of letting you to believe like, oh, well, I imagine there would be a corpse, so I'm willing to go along with the idea that someone could use it as like a jet-powered scheme.
Yeah, it's all
it's quite
clearly nonsense.
That's one of like the reasons why it's like a comedy, isn't it? It doesn't kind of
but I wouldn't say it's because of its absurdity, because it still goes with it in a way that like I'm willing to go with it and to say, okay, it could do this.
Yeah,
it's not as if it itself is a funny act for him to be like riding a fart-powered human through water.
Yeah,
but it's like further on when he sort of brings up that like he's useful and stuff. It itself is sort of the vehicle. Like obviously, if he wasn't useful, I guess the idea is that they wouldn't be so connected.
Yeah,
or something like that. But it brings it forward, and it does it in a way that isn't trying to say that it's true, but does it in a way it's like I'm willing to go along with it.
Like
it phrases it well, basically.
Like all the way through, you wonder if it's like something that's actually real, or if it's just him just imagining it all. But then you think, like how is he getting out of these situations? And then by the end, you're like pretty sure that it is just a magical corpse.
Yeah, it's diegetic.
Throughout the start of the movie, you know, I was 100% certain that it was just going to be a dead body all the way. And when the body suddenly begins talking in the cave, that really took me by surprise.
Yeah. I thought that was really well timed.
Yeah.
Sort of. A lot of the things that it brings forward, like the way it drip feeds sort of narrative, I think is well timed.
Yeah, it does drip feed a lot of stuff.
But then when that comes forward, it's then like they explore that, they're talking, that's quite novel. And then when they talk about the woman on the phone, that's sort of tensed forward, not too quickly, but in a way that it embeds itself in the relationship between two people, so that when they're talking about this woman, I guess, you're not so much concerned about the reality of it, which it then brings back at the end and then lets you focus on at that point.
You know what we didn't do before starting? We didn't say. We didn't say there's spoilers, right? But
I feel the spoilers are clear at this point.
Yeah. I know they're clear now, but at the beginning, some random person coming on and thinking, oh, maybe
wanting to watch Swiss Army Man.
Yeah?
It's very angry.
Maybe this is Swiss Army Man. You don't ever know. I know we just spoiled it all.
He already clicked the video thinking this is Swiss Army Man, and is now very upset that we've instead spoiled it for him.
Look, it's called Zesty Film Club, Swiss Army Man.
Well, we're pioneers. Yeah. Anyways, so next point.
Anyway, also like it like drip feeds stuff like slowly discovers more and more the powers, but also like who each of the characters are. Who is this woman? Like for the entire thing,
we do slowly learn more about them throughout, through their discussions and Manny's. Because for those at home, Manny has woken up and starts talking, but has no memory of any of his previous life. Yeah. And so a lot of the narrative is about Hank trying to help Manny here to remember anything of his past and learn who he was.
It's not even just about his memory. It's just him being. He just no memory of him being a human, so he doesn't know. These.
That's something that
concepts.
The way. Yeah, when it goes back over like the concepts of him being human, I thought it was quite nice. It's sort of quite life affirming. It sounds a bit cheesy, but the fact that it keeps going over like very fantastic, like Hank trying to sell the human life to him, I thought was incredible. It's a very endearing film at many points.
It has
especially
great
when, like,
innocence.
When it's doing like montages of him like makeshifting cars and cities and like classic movies.
They're
stuff.
Really cool.
Yeah,
it's really sweet, and it goes dark at some points as well. But I think at the core of it, it's really sort of just endearing at the end, and it's very human. It's definitely something that's trying to explore sort of humanism and identity.
I mean, the end is like incredibly sad, but virtually you finding out that this woman.
Shall we save the ending until let's talk through the whole movie in turn and get to the ending later.
Oh no. I guess you're wrong then.
Yeah, I guess I'm just wrong, Henry.
Okay,
so the other characters, we have Manny, the corpse, and Hank, the living guy, who's trying to run through. But the immediate only other person we know from the start is Manny has a phone, and he's saving the battery because he's having to get signal and call out for help and say, hey, I'm trapped, come get me. and is this background of this woman, who man immediately asks, "Who is this?" And so to try and remember who he is, they're using this woman, and he'll dress up, or they'll talk about and speculate about her as a way to try and learn who he is and try and help work the way home.
And there's always an idea that like he kind of, it's again quite fantastic, like fantasy. I mean, not fantastical, but it's quite fantasy in the manner that it kind of says that his power comes from like love.
Yeah,
that's sort of something they established quite early on, and is withheld throughout.
Because also slowly as they try and remember memories, and a lot of it is done with Hank dressing up as this woman and sort of trying to recreate moments and talk through these alter egos, and say through intimate moments, he suddenly discovers that because the rigor mortis in his hands, you can snap to make sparks, and they suddenly have fire on their side.
Just like this little stuff that you like wouldn't expect to be a power. Just suddenly, his body just becomes power. I remember what I was going to say before, and that was that like at one point, Manny says like why do you want to be a human? Why do you want to go back to the place that it doesn't sound very good if we can't not do so many stuff?
If we can't fart all the time.
Yeah, if we can't fart all the time. But like why don't we just stay here?
Yeah. Which is quite sad.
And like the fact that Hank, like so much of his life is just pretty like not there, you know. No, not there, but you know, like his parents.
He's always seems sort of shy and insecure.
Yeah.
But also like he really doesn't have very much, you know. Like his one of his parents has died. His mum died. His dad was kind of they've kind of disowned each other.
Yeah.
And this woman who for some of it you don't really know who she is, but kind of then find out that she's just some girl that was on the bus, like for
yeah.
And
she's
just like
sort of just taking a picture of a random stranger.
Yeah, literally that. And you.
But oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. You can continue.
No, I was going to move to another point, but you carry on.
And just the fact at the end, you just kind of realise that this what it's about.
Yeah, but to keep going chronologically, so the sort of next point, I guess, that comes. So obviously they then talk about this girl, and then there's very endearing moments, especially like when he's sort of cross-dressing, and then he like sort of like I remember there's a moment where like he compliments her. Or him, I should say, rather. Like dressing up as the woman, and then like he actually feels like genuinely sort of like warm towards him.
The bus scene is really beautiful and lovely the way they
take my headphone off and take my jumper off for a moment.
Oh no, he's taking his clothes off.
Throughout, I love sort of all of the little montages we had when they're trying to recreate moments of Manny's life and help him learn things, and so you have. He's just made all the different bits out of rubbish to make things.
Yeah, he's made all those sort of...
They're always really well done and really clear what they're trying to make and what they're trying to bring across, and the talk through really shows it.
Definitely. It's communicated so well.
Yeah.
But it's the thing, so it gets after the bus point. Then I guess the next sort of key point is when he starts talking for the first time about his mother and masturbation.
Yeah.
We talk about sex more so, and then it's and then Frank is sort of
that was one of the weirder powers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the actual boner itself, but I was more so thinking about when Frank opens up about his father telling him that if he wanks, it takes off time. Frank. Oh, Hank. Is his name Hank?
It's Hank, yeah.
Hank. Sorry, I said Frank. But no, yeah, I've probably said that like 5 times now. But yeah, he opens up about that his father told him that the more he masturbates, that it cuts off years of his life. And then his mother said that, like, as a joke, that the more if he masturbates more, then it means that he and his mother will die at the same time.
And then they won't be without each other for
yeah.
And that'll just like bring in like comedic effect to a very odd situation that you would never expect to happen. Yeah.
I just thought that was really oddly written. Like
it is.
It's very believable as well. Like for sort of someone who's sort of quite sheltered.
Is it?
To have
I don't know.
Well,
Believable for...
well, no, not that it's likely. I'm not saying that it's at all probable for anyone, but that as a story, it just something about it felt quite honest. That I'd be surprised if the writer of it hadn't gone through something similar. I know it's from a book, isn't it? Originally, I think it's from a book.
So it's virtually like The Room.
No, yes, okay. So basically, this is The Room, but is it from a book? I think I remember it being.
I'm not sure. I don't think it is. I think it's original.
I can research that.
Yeah, if you look it up on Wiki quickly. But I think it. I don't know.
I'm on Wiki. I'm not seeing any reference to a book
Okay.
existing.
I must be incorrect then.
Must be wrong, Henry.
Yeah, in terms of like writing, it's just the information that it comes forward with is very oddly chosen. But I'd say that I quite like it because it's tempered in a way that makes it feel more honest because it's weird.
Yeah.
Instead of it being very typical, instead of like the characterization to go in a very typical manner, the fact that it's kind of skewed in the way it is, and that Hank is sort of quite an odd individual.
Yeah.
Not that he's like completely weird; he's still very much self-aware, but it's just in such a way that it makes it more believable, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and as because like the information just trickles in, like you realize that it's from his perspective, and then that it's not actually the situation really.
Well, I don't know how much discrepancy there is between reality. I didn't really pick up much on that.
It's more about the woman being just somebody who's on a bus.
Oh yeah. It's in terms of, I thought you were saying as if like
no,
the entire thing is retconned at the end.
No.
I thought you were saying something like that. I was like, wait, did I miss a plot twist?
Plot twist.
No, God, I need to sweep the ground now. But sorry, do carry on.
Sweep the ground.
But it is also weird how Manny slowly seems to gain power as the movie goes along, until you reach sort of the last bits where he begins to actually move.
Yeah. I feel like it'd be like the more love that goes through. I don't know.
But the ending is not a moment of love. Like when he first you could say he's at his most powerful because he's suddenly able to walk and everything and talk and clearly and even starts doing that weird telepathy thing.
It could be.
That's not in a moment of love at all.
No, yeah, but it's with his other things, like, you know, he tries to shoot rocks at him and stuff. He's then acting by himself. I'd say there's very clear there isn't love, but then he's sort of just acting on his own accord.
It might not be love. It may be emotion.
Oh no, he does lose power at the end though. At the end, he does lose like these weird sort of powers that the guy could do.
He doesn't lose it. He just doesn't use them, and then he does use them at the end. He uses the fart one at the end.
Oh yeah, so he does fart.
So he doesn't lose it. He just doesn't use them at the end when they're in kind of like the more normal civilization.
Well, I don't know, because it's with things like that. I don't know if they're supposed to be defined that much. It's sort of it's supposed to be quite ambiguous as to like why he does these things.
Yeah,
and I think that there is the idea that like a corpse does like fester gas inside their belly. I'm certain of that much.
Yeah,
they swell and stuff.
At the beginning, when like the first maybe like minute of the fighting, I was like, okay, this just normal, guys, it's just normal. And then it continued going on. It was like, this is not normal.
But no, I don't know, because it's sort of like, because he then puts a cork up his ass, doesn't he? And then for like the rest of the film, he you know, keeps it there, and so then it makes sense that like, you know, his belly swelling with gas isn't like him being powerful or anything. That's just natural. Whereas the things of him like being able to like snap his fingers, like I don't know.
There's something magical going on there.
It's all very ambiguous. I don't know if it's supposed to be.
We are talking about a talking corpse, one that is actually just talking. So we've already accepted that it is not a 100% real movie.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Again, like near the end, where they meet, we meet the actual person who's on the phone, and like she's like really nice to them at first, and then just like a bit freaked out because like like no.
It is quite generous how they happen to just go to that person's house.
Yeah,
of all places.
But also,
I found the whole end bit. I was not so happy with the whole end bit as opposed to the rest of the movie. I thought it sort of got well. Suddenly, for one thing, you're back in reality, and you get a bit of context to everything, and suddenly you admit, yeah, actually, this all has been a bit weird.
Yeah.
And then you've also got that the first place you are in reality is the woman on the phone's house, which is a sudden unexpected coincidence.
What the hell is that, Henry?
Sorry.
What are you doing?
Nothing. But on that note, though, I mean, I'm willing to give license to a film to write it in such a manner for the sake of concising it, because them coming back, it would probably be that if they, at some other person's house, they would most likely, at least one of them. But basically, in terms of narrative, it's very clear that the writer wanted to take them to her house.
Yeah.
So if they hadn't have just happened to be there, then he would have wanted them to travel there anyway. So the idea of them just happening to be in their back garden is just a matter of shortening the ending and making it more so that it's just the most important thing is that they've confronted them, and less so the probability of it happening, because they would have wanted it to get there anyways.
There's lots of jump cuts sort of stuff.
Well, jumps in sort of narrative. I'd say
jumps in time. So you don't expect to be the very first thing they saw in the civilization was her house, but it's the only important thing about the civilization, so they just jump straight to it.
It sort of brings it all to a head, really.
Yeah.
On purpose.
There's no need.
Instead of being another person's house and then having to split it into two scenes, it allows it to just happen in one and get it done with quicker.
Yeah. But it is a bit weird that suddenly, at the beginning, could be really far away from her house, and then somehow gets to that house. And knows where she lives, even though he stalks her a bit with her Instagram and stuff. But
I think he recognizes the look of her, though. I think that's more so because he looked through the window.
Yeah. But how would you meant to know where she lives?
Well, no, I don't think they did.
I feel we're getting wrapped up on the wrong point in all this.
Yeah, but
they know.
No, I'm just saying that so they wandered around forever, looking at each other's house, just into each house.
I know what you're saying, but it's just it's just them wanting to concise the narrative. They wanted to bring it to that point to symbolize it ending more, to confront it more. But anyway, so where were we with the actual narrative though? Because it sort of got to the point where
Manny is more able to actually move, and Hank wakes up and Manny is carrying him into a garden.
Oh no, we missed the whole
there's a bit where when he learns fire.
The bear thing.
No, that's the bear thing.
Yeah,
bear thing is him begin to walk, and that's what I was talking about earlier about how when we first see Manny showing the most power, where he suddenly seems to be, it's when he's suddenly betrayed and he's told, no, this woman on the phone, that's not someone from your past, we thought you were before.
This is why I was saying it could be emotion and not just love.
But it's more so that he fails to shoot the rocks though. But I think the only reason he scared it away is because he ends up farting at the fire. But I don't think that's more so him supposed to be seen as powerful. That's an accident. I think the way it's choreographed, it's not like he meant to do that in the first place. He tripped over or something.
But I'm talking about by powerful. I mean the fact that he's suddenly able to move on his own, which we've never seen before.
Yeah, but I've just repeated just 3 times. It could be emotion and not love, and him being angry at him, so that makes the powers happen. Hello?
I mean, the point is not about how he gets powers. The point is that
the
power is not just him farting into a fire. That's not the point. The moment we were discussing.
I think I just missed out a couple of seconds.
No, that was just radio silence.
But what was your point then? You were saying that it wasn't love at that point, and then it's going to be something else.
I just meant that we weren't discussing him farting into a fire as being this moment.
No, I'm not talking. I know that. I know you're saying that
we're just going round in circles here.
Yeah, we are, aren't we? You're saying that when there wasn't any love, he was at his most powerful, and I responded to that being that it may be.
No, we accepted your point.
Oh, I didn't hear any
ages ago.
I didn't hear any accepting at all.
No, not right now, but like a while back in the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, ages ago.
I just thought you were just ignoring my point.
Anyway, so then he farts away the bear. That's great. It's all fun.
No, he set himself on fire.
Well, yeah.
Farts away the bear.
I thought he farted into the fire. I thought that was what happened.
Yeah, he farted into the fire, which then set himself on fire.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then the bear ran away.
So he scared away the bear, and then it's like, oh, okay, let's go to civilization.
Yeah. There's the bit where they go over like the pipe.
Oh yeah. That's quite a. I didn't expect. I don't know. I think that was tempered quite well as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it made sense for something to happen there, so it's not as if it came out of nowhere. But the way that it then panned it out, like I'd forgotten that like he has, I guess, the power of farts because that's then what saves them. And then when they kiss at the end, I feel like it might end then. It felt like that might have been the ending, that they go on this journey and then just sort of end up drowning. But then he pulls the cork out and they fly back up and they go out. And it's great.
Takes the cork out.
Yeah, and then he like just farts them out, and then
Farts them out.
And then that's what keeps them walking. And then they get to the bear thing, and then when they're like stuck in the to be fair, when they were up in the trees though, that was such a. I found that like the most tense scene of the whole film.
It got very weird then. It was very disturbing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
you had when they had all of them trapped up there, and the bear was trying to kill Hank. Yeah, but the whole flashing scenes thing, where you're sort of flashing in this moment of sort of shit. Why has this happened?
Yeah, it
was sort of very shocking somehow.
Yeah,
definitely.
It was just like another power that you just found. It's a bit like I don't know, like in a game where like you're suddenly getting more and more powers, and then like just a random power just pops up, and you know.
Yeah, so they need to make a video game of this. You play a farting corpse.
Yeah, like imagine like a Bioshock where you collect the powers and like you get some cool new power. It's not as like comparing.
Well, it's more so that he's becoming more human at that point.
Yeah,
whether or not that's actually biologically viable. It's
not really more human. No, you're not.
Well, he's starting to think he's walking. It seems like he's coming to more so. Yes, even if it means he's like he's burning out his muscles.
No, I don't agree with that because because most of his powers humans don't have. Just because he can walk and talk.
The point isn't that we're not saying that he's becoming, actually a living person. We're saying that he's becoming more, independent and actually living full stop.
Yeah, but I just feel that it's more that it's just a power that people
he then doesn't have like those rigor mortis things at that point. Which it seems like, I think, again, it's all rigor mortis of like when the bones are stiffened. Because I think before it's all fringe science, or not fringe science.
Yeah, I don't think we should like talk about like how he's a walking corpse and that and how he's been fighting for the last hour.
No, yeah, but it seems like most of the powers, it's weird we're calling them powers, but that they stem from rigor mortis, and then when he loses the rigor mortis, that's sort of when he starts being able to walk by himself. Because he wouldn't be able to snap his fingers that hard, because the reason they do snap like that is because of rigor mortis.
But I think you're thinking about it too much. Like a corpse isn't going to go and snap that. You snap the corpse's fingers, not going to go and create a fire, are they?
Then again, it's never actually established that he's entirely dead.
Yeah. I just when like he starts like opening his eyes, this is near the beginning. I was like, okay, so this guy is he alive? And then suddenly he it's like maybe he's in a coma. Maybe he had a stroke.
Yeah, it's definitely very liberal with sort of its science, because it presents it in a way that it's more so important, like what he does.
Yeah,
it's not meant to be an 100% scientifically accurate movie at any point. That's
but all
I don't think us talking about how the corpse works is really the important thing meant to be getting across here.
Yeah.
So it's a good movie.
All I was saying was how like near the beginning you're not really sure like what sort of movie it's going to turn into. You know?
Yeah, it's very.
Like,
it does hide itself quite well until it
like,
actually reveals.
You just have no idea that it's just some weird, just weird stalker guy who was a corpse friend with used the power of love or emotion to
Yeah, and
have
like
weird powers.
When I was watching it, looking at like Daniel Radcliffe and how he was dressed, and kind of knowing how Daniel Radcliffe acts, like when he started coming to, I thought it was going to be like a matter of so you've got like Hank, the sort of bedraggled dude, and I thought like he was going to come to, and it was end up going to be like a sort of it's a duo of people who don't get along with each other, who are going to have wacky adventures, and he was like going to come to be like a very upper class person who wouldn't be happy with the situation he's in. So I thought his character would be entirely different. Which and again, it's like sort of it becomes irrelevant who he was before, which I kind of quite like.
It does.
That it's never they never bother to like actually share information about him. He comes to in terms of like understanding humanity, but they never actually reveal anything about him.
No.
Because it's more so that Hank has used him for his own purposes. So of course he would only reflect Hank.
And then at the end, he just farts away, and there's no more.
The ending I did find almost disappointing and weird.
It was a bit.
So we brought all of these people. We brought his dad and the girl from the phone who had been, who found him and rescued him, and the police who turned up because they were trying to find him because he'd been walked out, and they just walk back and say he's mad and stuff, and he kidnaps the body and runs off because things are getting a bit weird, and then the body just farts away into the sea.
And he smiles.
And then, do you know what could happen? It could all happen again with somebody else.
Oh no. Yeah, he's farting away towards a shitty sequel.
Yeah, he's farting away towards a shitty sequel.
So the idea is that he then gets like arrested and stuff, which makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense because
when you take it all into reality, it's suddenly you see it as weird and just wrong because
a bit like how you can't fart in public. How terrible.
Yeah, because he's found a body. He's been recreating scenes with this woman who doesn't even know he exists.
Yeah.
Things are suddenly seen as wrong, yeah.
It definitely kind of lulls you into that world in a very effective way. So that when it goes back to that, no matter how critical you are of it before, you're like, wow, yeah, you do get a bit of incredible juxtaposition. Because it frames it. Oh, by the way, just to quickly slam in another point, I don't know how long we've been going for, but the soundtrack, I really loved the soundtrack. It was all a cappella.
Yes.
And I thought
the soundtrack was absolutely beautiful. I made all the scenes. It worked with the innocence of the movie.
Because it is all just a cappella. And I think it is. Because I know the guy who plays Hank is actually sort of musically trained. Because I actually, not that I would talk about the film itself, but I recently also saw him in another film called Love and Justice or Love and Mercy.
Okay.
It's about Brian Wilson. And he plays Brian Wilson, who's naturally musical in real life. But yeah, he sings in that as well. And I can definitely tell that, I don't know if like they devised it themselves or if it was actually composed on like, sheet music, but it definitely had that sort of
I think he did compose a lot.
Yeah, that rustic feel of sort of just making up one bit and then you layer it on. You can hear that it's supposed to be, at least in the beginning when he's walking to the corpse, that he's singing it and then it's copying it in the background. So it's kind of showing what he in his mind is creating a song, whilst in real life you wouldn't hear every part at the same time. He himself is, I guess, mentally constructing this tune for himself, so he would know how they sound together. So you're then thrown into their world.
Yeah, he randomly just starts humming, just
which is quite natural though, because there is a very.
I do very much get your thing of it maybe being how he's picturing his mind, because it often starts with one or the other play, sort of making some sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Fabian.
Yeah, sorry,
you cut out there for a bit.
Oh, okay.
I know.
But I was going to say, actually, there was also a version online of this movie where they completely cut the soundtrack out.
Why?
And it destroys a whole ton of the innocence, and suddenly you get this much darker movie.
Yeah,
I can imagine. I think the soundtrack makes that sort of lull when it kind of gets you entirely on board with the characters and wants them to strive against the world. And then when it slams it into reality, that's then what... it's quite powerful, really.
What's like a different soundtrack between... Because I can't really remember the soundtrack very much. But what's like different soundtrack between the them being forest people and then into civilization? Or was it a different soundtrack?
I don't understand. Well, it's because it was all a cappella. At the very end, I don't think there was even any music.
Yeah, I can't remember any music.
I don't think there was.
That's interesting.
Yeah, apart from the very end when he's farting away.
Farting away into the distance.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's very cool, innocent, especially sort of very especially because you're just sort of humming to yourself or like wanting to sing and make music is a very natural instinct. It's joyous to show that you're complacent.
Like, although I agree that the end it wasn't like absolutely amazing, I didn't mind it at all. Like I feel there's got to be like a bit where it kind of it grounded you. It grounded you that for the entire film you've been watching this guy with a bit of an abnormal relationship. And then suddenly you realise that this is actually the reality of it.
Well, yeah, I'm entirely happy that it did go to that place, but it's the way that it was executed. Sort of, because the problem is it didn't really have a. Because it is one of those films that there isn't really a specific way that it needs to end.
Yeah,
I'm happy that I do like when you had Daniel Radcliffe sort of talking to the child in the garden. I thought that was powerful. But then when it kept going, because it felt like it needed to give some sort of not a resolution, but it needed to give some sort of ending to Hank's story. That's when it started feeling weak, but not because it was written badly, but because it felt unnecessary for them to be like, oh, here's his father, oh, here's the girl, and now she's weirded out in there. And then at the very end, it feels a bit on the nose when sort of he's at the corpse and they've just got everyone else standing there as an audience. I get the idea is supposed to be like them looking on him as a weirdo, but it just felt incredibly sort of ham-fisted at that very last scene.
It was.
Well, it is such a bizarre movie, and there was never really a direction it was going in for a lot of it anyway.
So it's hard to end a non-direction movie.
The ending was still pretty good, but it's just there's not really any real way you could have ended it to make it satisfying or mean much, because there wasn't really much going on at any moment. It was just two people talking pretty much for the entire movie.
That's why I thought it would. I would have more preferred it then if they'd sort of both died on the children's garden then. I feel like that would have been at least more definitive.
Whoa.
I don't know, because it's when it keeps going on but doesn't need to is when it feels like it's sort of weakening the power that it had before.
But so the two options they really had was do the way that they did and kind of like finalize Hank's story, or end it very quickly in a bit that doesn't quite make sense.
Well, no, to say like they go so.
Like say it ended at the bit where they kissed at the underneath the water. It ended there. Like you said, you said that could have been an end.
It did feel like the way it's just the way it was going. It would have been a bit short-lived.
That's what I mean. Like that. So you've got the two options, and both options aren't.
There's more
than
two options though. It's not exactly
the generic. That's what
what I was about to say. What I was about to say though is that perhaps, I don't know, this is a random idea. You go down to the garden, you know, Daniel Radcliffe dies. It's all very sad, and then just have him like run back into the forest or something, or just do something that's simple in itself to show that you don't need to give a detailed ending to any of their emotions, because you've already expounded it so well.
If that happens, so Daniel Radcliffe dies, but why does he die? He's been alive for the entire movie, and then what?
Well, because I don't know, because it's just to give an ending to it.
I just think
that
it's quite hard
just
to
cutting
give
to
an
black.
end to it. But I get what you mean. Your ending.
I just feel it could have had a better ending.
Yeah,
not that it had to be mine, but just there are many forms of ending.
Yeah,
better than what it had.
Yeah.
But anyway, all in all, what were your impressions of it as a film?
Again, it was incredibly unique. Like it is like the last film, but like some odd themes to it.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice.
Going in a very different direction of odd though this time.
Yeah. But like, it is quite nice seeing films that are like this unique.
Yeah, it's definitely unique.
Yeah. I really like that.
Yeah.
In general,
I very much like that.
I really enjoyed it. Like you go through lots of emotions.
Yeah. So how many bags of popcorn out of 10 would you give it?
Eight.
I think I'd give it. Yeah, definitely. If not a 7.5 or an 8.
Yeah, I was saying 7.5. All right.
Yeah.
I'm an 8 or 9. I really enjoyed it as a
That's
film.
good.
I thought, it was filmed amazing. The cinematography was cool, and the sort of style and pacing of it were really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah.
How was the cinematography? I can't really remember anything in general.
To quickly bring up one note of cinematography, I found it really cool how they shot. They shot some in quick montages that happened very quickly. One example being when they go down in the water, that they actually reshot previous flashback scenes and actually doused them with water in those scenes as they quickly played them. You know what I mean? When they fell off the pipe and were going.
Yes, the flashbacks were always quick and cutting, and really, you could see what was going on, but often they could be weird and bizarre.
Yeah, because they were like, it goes through like sort of 2 or 3, and I can't remember, but one of them is like them driving. But in those scenes, water is being splashed on them.
Ah, okay.
Which I thought was a really cool. It happens very quickly, but it means that when you're thinking of it really, it's just cool. I don't know how to explain it more, but it's really cool. They took the time to do that for what is basically 3 seconds of footage.
Yeah,
they had to like redo scenes and basically pour water on scenery they'd spent a lot of time on. Yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
What other cinematography stuff? Because I can't really remember.
I can't remember, but it is sort of mainly montages where they
the montages appeared a lot and worked well. But also, the way they very easily depicted a scene of real life or of everyday life using trash and stones and things that they just could find about the place.
And then the way that they shot those things as well.
Yeah.
Was very cool, and especially the noise. Let's go to the montage of when Daniel Radcliffe first comes to Manny. Sorry, I should say more so. Talking about like Jurassic Park, and he's talking about cities and love and sort of going around town, and the way that the sound plays with that, and where he's going for like massive monologues where he'll say like 10 different things within like the space of a sentence, but throughout that sentence they will very firmly cut to things which are what he's saying, even if it's just one word.
Manny or Hank?
I did find
Hank is talking. They'll be very
for both of them. The acting was really well done.
Yeah,
definitely. Great job to both of them.
It was quite funny. Like when I first saw the body, and it was like, okay, is that Daniel Radcliffe? I was like, is this gonna be? Is this body gonna be?
Oh, did you not know he was in it?
No, I didn't know he was in it beforehand.
Oh, cool.
So suddenly there's this body of Daniel Radcliffe. I was like, okay, is this body going to be part of the film? And like, where would they just have Daniel Radcliffe just dead on the thing? And then
that was his only moment. He just appeared dead.
That.
But yeah, so I say maybe I'm gonna go up to an 8, but yeah, it's sort of 7.5 to 8. Strong 8 maybe. I'm going with 8 bags of popcorn. They're all salted.
Not a strong 8. I think I preferred Leon, which I gave an 8.5 to.
Oh, I prefer this.
I
But how was the middle part of this movie?
Yeah. How's the middle part of this movie?
It was good. Anyway, I think we sort of exhausted.
Did you think the relationship wasn't too extended between those two in the middle?
No, I don't think so.
I think they worked well at sort of slowly developing them.
And it's more so when he started dressing up more as well, it definitely did go into another gear, but it was one that sort of kind of finished. It started and ended. That sounds wacky, but there is a sort of definitive middle point to this. Definitely when they're exploring their relationship, and I guess they're feeling love for one another.
Look, you're really describing Leon as well, aren't you? So
basically, it's Leon.
So after the Leon dressing up scene, so you thought it should have all the emotional stuff should have ended then, but in this, after this dressing up scene, you didn't think all the emotional stuff should have ended.
No, because this was done better.
Interesting. Okay.
Anyway,
I did really like the scene where Hank was trying to refresh Manny's memories of John Wayne.
Anyway, I think we've gone ahead of ourselves.
We're just
think
referencing the last episode.
That was it was a pretty solid movie.
Yeah,
I think we liked it.
Yeah.
I personally really recommend it. As
Yeah.
I did.
recommend for me.
Henry, aren't you doing our next one?
Yeah, and I can actually reveal what the next film is going to be to
what will it be?
all two listeners who are still listening. One of which hasn't yet realised this isn't the film. I'm still looking for Leon. But no.
Still looking for Leon.
So I know what film. I guess you might cut after, but it's like cut after I say what the film is.
Yeah. Okay.
But my recommendation, my request, is the film 1991's Shakes the Clown.
Shakes the Clown.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay then. All right. We'll see everyone next week for that.
See you next time.
Ta-ra.